Motivation gets you started, but discipline gets the job done. Motivation gets you started, discipline gets the job done. If you're anything like me or the majority of other people in the world, you may have a lot of difficulty when it comes to discipline. It is easy to feel motivated, very easy to feel a quick burst of inspiration. A lot of people feel it at certain times, such as New Year's, New Year, New Me. And what happens come February, all that comes crashing down. You fall back into your old habits and your New Year, New Me is entirely forgotten. So if you already understand this, you understand that motivation can only get you so far, and there are tools, there are certain things that you have to learn to do and be equipped to actually be able to sustain these habits in the long run. Then this is the video for you. If you're also someone who has been used to being disciplined and sustaining those habits in the long run, but has fallen off after a long time and doesn't have motivation to get back on again, then this is also for you, because there are a few key commonalities behind the reason why pretty much any of you, any of us, could feel a resistance or any sort of difficulty to maintain a high level of discipline in any area. So we understand this. We understand that discipline equals consistency, and motivation alone, as much as I love it, is inconsistent. It is but a fleeting emotion. Therefore, how do you stay disciplined and consistent? One key thing to learn, and one key thing to know, which you may already know, is that the most difficult thing is always starting. And once you've started, it's a lot easier to continue. So when you're in a depressive state, what can happen a lot of the time is you understand this, you understand that once you're doing the thing, you will feel a lot better and it won't be as much of an issue. However, it can feel like you're physically incapable of actually starting to do the thing in the first place. Whether it's going out and talking to people, or when it's anxiety, or maybe it is just working out or starting any new habit. It could be looking for a job if you're unemployed. You understand the very basic principles and actions that would get you to where you want to get to. However, you have this barrier that sort of stops you from getting there. So where do these barriers come from? It is typically boiled down to one of three things. Issue number one is that the thing that you're trying to do may not be for you in the first place. So that's the very first thing to explore. Second thing is your environment and societal drains on your energy. So this is basically just not having the actual mental, emotional, or physical energy to actually do the things that you want to do consistently. And then the third thing is your own biology. And this is essentially your genes that only care about reproduction and staying comfortable, not really wanting to push you outside of your comfort zone, because our bodies are designed for homeostasis and to keep us at a certain comfort level, and anything that pushes us beyond that poses as a possible risk, as a potential risk to our safety and possibly our lives, as far as our genes are concerned. So how do we conquer these three different areas? Number one, the idea that what you're going for might not be for you in the first place. What you do for this is you need to look inward. You take a deep dive into yourself. This is a whole topic in and of itself. I'm going to touch on it very, very briefly here. You need to look at your core why, your core principles, what drives you. And you need to look at why you want to do what you're doing in the first place. Is it because society has told you that this is something that's respectable? So you want to do it because it's a respectable thing to do, because you want a title, or you want other people to look at you and feel like you're accomplished? Is it because of your parents' expectations on you, or family expectations? Is it because you just saw something online and it looked kind of cool, so now you want to do it as well? If it's any one of those reasons, then maybe you want to reevaluate. It depends how deep it goes. But a lot of these very surface level reasons as to why you might want to embark on a certain discipline might not actually be something that meaningful to you. Hence why it's so difficult to stick with it. All it was a burst of motivation or energy, and it's not something that is sticking with you because it's simply not meant to stick with you in the long run. What you need to do is dive deep, find what your core driving principles are, and what this does for you is it means that even on days where you don't feel like it, you have that core driver within yourself, that deep understanding of why it's meaningful to you. So even if you don't have the abundant energy, you have sort of the inner fire to keep you going even through the hardest times. Point number 2 is societal influence and your environment. So when it comes to this, these are physical, emotional, mental drains on your energy. This can be from the people you hang out with, to your family, your work, your health, and your diet. The best way to clean this up would be to start with your own health and diet. So there are many foods and substances that we can partake in which take more than they give us. They drain a lot more than they actually fuel us. So you might want to look into that. If it's something that you do have that deep meaning as to why you want to do it, but you still don't have the energy to actually get up and get started, this could very well be a reason why. So you might want to look into cleaning up your foods, your diet, your nutrition, like drinking a lot of water. There's a lot of different things you could get into. I'm not a nutritionist, and there are lots of different takes. There's different diets that can be better for different people. I'm personally plant-based. I've been vegan for the last 5 years. It works for me. I know a lot of people who've had success with the ketogenic diet, and there's a few others. Now, of course, there's moralistic reasons to go into certain things, which we don't need to do here. However, do what is best for you and your body, and detox, clean out all of the bad stuff. Next, your environment as well. I'm going to sound like Jordan Peterson here, but honestly, cleaning your room, having a tidy, clean environment, having things organized, and then auditing your time doing specific activities or around certain people that might drain you a lot more than energize you. And you can take that as you want it. And the third option, the third thing, was your own biology. So this is possibly the most insidious one out of all of them, but it is also the easiest one to overcome, because your own biology that is trained for homeostasis, it is evolved to keep you basically at the most comfortable level that can just ensure your survival and reproduction. If you want to push past this can be very, very difficult. It's why people in general don't like change. It's why a lot of us don't like change. If you really want to overcome this, best tool to use, and I can't state this enough, is baby stepping. You want to baby step your way to where you want to get to. You don't want to build up this big thing, this big ideal in your mind and be ruminating over it and give yourself time to talk yourself out of it, or give yourself time for your body, your hormones to sort of take over the feeling of it and be like, I don't really want to do that. I want to stay home. I want to be comfortable. I'd rather just not do something. It's always more difficult to go from inaction to action than it is to go from one action to another action. So the most key thing is to just get you doing an action in the first place. Very, very quick example off the top of my head. Talking with someone just a couple of days ago, and he was talking about how he baby steps himself to the gym. So instead of thinking, okay, I'm going to go to the gym and do these specific workouts when you're sitting at home in bed on your phone, and it can be very, very easy for your genes, your hormones, your body, your what you've evolved to be, to sort of talk you out of doing something that uncomfortable. What he does is he just talks himself into, putting on his gym clothes. He says, I'm not going to do all of that. I'm not going to go to the gym or anything. That's too much hassle. Let me just put on my gym clothes. Let me just put on my, put on a vest, like maybe the shorts, tracksuit bottoms, whatever. Like, just see how they fit, just to chill. So in a way, he's tricking himself into doing this. And then he might walk down the stairs and be like, yeah, I'm just going to go downstairs, just get some water or something, like, just get a shake. That's all he needs to think about, just the very next step. And then he gets to the door and he thinks, you know what, I'm just going to step outside, just get some fresh air. And then the next thing you know, you're at the gym. And what are you going to do when you're that far? You going to turn around, go back home, like take off your gym gear and like just go back into bed? No, of course not. Because once you've committed to the first step, that is the most difficult, and everything after that becomes progressively easier, which is why baby stepping is the most invaluable tool when nothing else works and you feel like there is no other way for you to actually get this goal accomplished. You can even do it, I know I'm talking specifically about working out here, but you can even do it when it comes to actual reps that you're doing. Instead of counting every single rep of the entire set that you're doing, you can break it up. So you can do like 5, then start at 1 again, do 5, then do 5, then 5, instead of counting to 30, let's say. That's a very specific example. I might come up with a better one at some point. But yeah, essentially it is just looking to the very next easy thing to do. And what you do by easing yourself into it bit by bit, something that requires such minimal effort, such a minimal level of discomfort, to the point where it's not even uncomfortable. Sorry, just ran out of space on my phone. So just a little shift, a tiny shift, not even something uncomfortable, just a little shift that eases you into the next action. And what that does, by easing yourself in to enough of these tiny little shifts, it gets to the point where it's actually more comfortable to go back to where you started than it is to just take the next step. And that's what you essentially want to trick yourself into doing. You want to put yourself in a position where it's more uncomfortable for yourself to go back than it is for you to just take one more step forwards. And that is how you get your biology, your genes on your side. You create that sort of leverage where by the time you're already in your gym gear, on your way to the gym, like you might be at the gym already, at that point, what is actually more uncomfortable? Is it more uncomfortable to just walk in and just do one rep? Like once you're in the gym, that's another thing. You can just say, I'm just going to do this one exercise. Just one set. That's it. Just one set of this. Done. And then, what you do, you baby step yourself to the next one and the next one. And once you're there, it's very easy to just do it. I say this as someone who doesn't go to the gym. If you see my earlier videos on the channel, I do home workouts, but same principle, can be applied to anything. This is just a very common one that I was talking with someone about the other day. But when you put yourself in that situation where you baby step your way enough to the point where the next step is easier than going back, you've already won. So hopefully you gain some sort of value out of this. Those three key sticking points pretty much encapsulate all the reasons that I can think of, at least. Maybe there's some that I missed, let me know. They pretty much encapsulate all of the reasons as to why discipline and consistency can be very, very difficult. One, it might not be for you, in which case you dive deep, find out why you were trying to do this in the first place, and realign your goals and your purpose possibly, or just reaffirm them. 2 is cleaning up your own energy and things that drain you versus things that feed you, things that serve you. so you actually have enough energy to partake in these things, and you're not completely mentally drained. Like many people, you might feel this after work. You might feel too drained to do anything else. That's a very common one. What you really want to do is create enough scenarios in your life which are feeding you more energy than they're taking, in order to get that sorted. And then 3 is only for extreme cases where you are just you have no inclination at all of doing the thing that you actually want to do. Then you need a baby step. Like, that's not, you don't need to do that every single day. That's a bit extreme. Hopefully you don't need to. If you have to do that every single day, maybe you want to go back to number 1 and see if it's something that's actually for you. However, we all have days where it just feels impossible to actually get started, and that is what step 3 is for: baby stepping. So if you are having any issues with consistency or discipline, it could be any one of those 3 things. Maybe you've got 1 or 2 of them down and it's just one of them that you need to really go into. Maybe it's all 3 of them. However, if you don't have a specific one that's jumping out to you and you don't know what it is at all, I would start with number 1, because you always want to start going inwards to your core, finding out the reason why, and living an examined life. And then from there onwards, we can optimize the external to match the internal. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I love you. I want what's best for you, and I hope that you are able to gain some sort of insight or value out of this. And let me know whether you have or you haven't. That will be all from me today. Done. Peace.